Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome here if you're new. In this video I'm sharing with you my mini carnation template, and like many of my other templates, this is one that I designed to make easy to use and easy to cut out, and so let's just get started. So this is the carnation template. Call it a mini because they look best when they're small. And this template features a lot of different layers, and this is what gives us the look of the carnation, which basically looks like a flower with just tons of petals squished together. And in order to achieve all these layers, we do have to use quite a number of pieces. But in terms of assembly and actually cutting them out, it's actually very easy. So this is what the mini carnation template looks like, and for each flower you use 12 pieces, and so any size that you want to use, you'll just need 12 pieces of a single size. So here, these are 3.5 inches wide. I can cut 6 pieces out of one piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, so I only use 2 pieces of paper per flower at this size. In terms of shaping, all we need to do is shape the petal so that the sides curl up. And I like using a knitting needle with a tapered end because I can get in there, and I liked how I can shape it much easier with more control. So for every petal, whatever petal you start with, you'll skip one and then go to the next one. So for an 8-piece petal here, you will actually curl the petals one way 4 times. So these 4 here. And then you'll flip it around, and then also, you'll still shape the petal the same way, sort of in a U fashion. And so you're putting whatever tool you're using to curl the petals, and you're wrapping the petals around it. So it looks like a U shape. And you're going to do this 4 times as well. So for every piece, you'll curl the petals, 4 of them one way, and then 4 of them the other way. They are curled the same manner, but the direction will be different. So when you look at your piece, some will have U's and some will have like upside down U's, if that makes any sense. And then I'm going to just crease the petals at the base, like this, for all petals, and then I'm done with this piece here. And as you can see, when I scrunch up the petals, it starts looking like a little flower. So just having many of these layers creates that mini carnation that we're trying to make. So typically I don't use glue sticks to help curl my petals. It just doesn't give me the shaping that I like. But for this size and some of the sizes that you'll make, this is actually perfect to use for curling your petals. It's just wide enough or thick enough that as I pull the sides of the petals up, it wraps around the glue stick nicely, and then that way I can curl these petals a little bit faster than if I was using something thinner. So something like a glue stick, which you'll use to glue together your petals, is perfect for this. And I'm doing less shaping than I am just wrapping the petals around this glue stick. So this is one way you can make your flowers a little bit faster if you grab 2 pieces at once and wrap them around a glue stick. I do find that a knitting needle or anything thinner does give me a little bit better of a curl. And that makes sense, right? Because the knitting needle is thinner, so when I wrap the sides around this knitting needle, it curls in just a little bit more. But if you are pressed for time, just using the glue stick is perfect for curling these petals here. So again, I'm just going to curl 4 pieces, right? Every other 4 pieces. And I'm just going to flip it over, and then the remaining 4 petals will get a curl, and then I'm just going to bend the petals forward and crease them at the base. So here I've done 2 at a time, and that is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and curl the rest of the petals. What I'm going to do is save 2 and set them aside, and I'll talk more about that later. But I'll go ahead and curl these, and then that'll be in the next frame. Okay, so for the last 2 petals, what I actually recommend is actually curling them in the same manner for all petals. However, when we make this, I'm going to tell you some issues that some people may have and what you can do to change it. But for me, what I like is having the last 2 layers have petals that have the same orientation in terms of curling. So I'm curling them up. I'm not flipping them over and doing the same process for these last two. Okay, so now we're ready to put together the flower, and it's super easy. All you need to do is just glue every layer together. And like with all my other templates, we just want to rotate the top layer so that any of the petals sit between the petals from the previous layer. There's a little leeway in this template where you don't have to glue them exactly in between the petals from the previous layer, but what you want to make sure is that you try to avoid stacking the petal layers together. And what I mean by that is sometimes, if you're moving a little too fast, you can accidentally make it so that petals just sit on top of each other. And so we have petals that are the U-shaped and then the upside down U-shape. We want to make sure that we don't stack them together. So I do have an example with what I did in this carnation here, and I'm going to go up close. So I was moving very close. I think I made these for a video. And you can see here that I started actually stacking the petal layers together. I didn't intentionally do it, but because I was working so fast, these petals here take away from the amount of volume that I get from the overall flower. But it also makes it like I wasted one layer of petals that could have pushed my petals together and closed up the center here. Right, so I have that illustrated there. I wasn't intentionally doing that, but I noticed that that's what I would do if I was moving too quick. So that is something to keep in mind. You want to make sure that this doesn't happen, that they don't sit as if they're aligned together, so that we can make use of that petal layer. Because if I was a little more careful and I moved it slightly to the other side, maybe even just a 1/4 inch, we would have that layer push against these layers here and close up the center a little bit better. So that's just something to keep in mind, but overall they're very easy to glue. And what you can do is just scrunch up the petal like this. So I did want to show some quick examples of what it could look like if you add a little bit of inking or shading to the flowers. So here I added a subtle little pink in the center of each petal, and it gives me a nice light pink that pops from the center of each petal, and so it makes it look a little more realistic by just adding a little bit of shading to the center of each petal. This one has a darker pink underneath, and so it looks like it has darker pink undertones. I've also worked on stemming these flowers, and so it's not perfect. I don't have a perfect method just quite yet, so I will share it when I do. However, this is the same one with that pink, and it looks really pretty. It does make it look somewhat more realistic by adding that shading. And then this one is a orangey red, almost like a rust color that I added to each petal. You can see it was a white petal underneath, and I just added in that shading and stemmed it as well. So shading does take a little more time, but I think the results are worth it if you're building a bouquet or something special. So that is my mini carnation template. Let me know if you have any questions down below in the comments. I will have links to the listing in my Etsy shop. All templates are still 50% off. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.